We all know cartels are not the ones to be messed with, but this time the tables have turned. Here are 5 instances when cartels mess with the wrong people. In 2008, the dynamics within the drug world shifted dramatically when the son of the infamous drug lord LM1 was killed by a rival cartel. This event triggered a chain reaction that would ultimately lead to chaos and violence. Manuel Torres Felix, a key figure in the cartel, found himself at the center of this storm as he navigated through the treacherous waters of power and betrayal. Rising through the ranks of the cartel in 1990, Manuel Felix eventually reached the pinnacle of leadership after his brother Javier Torres Felix was apprehended. This turn of events forced him to forge new alliances, one of which was with Ovidio Guzman Lopez, the son of notorious Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, Mexico's former most wanted man. Together they orchestrated the trafficking of drugs from South America into Mexico, solidifying their grip on the illicit trade. On April 18, 2008, a horrifying incident occurred outside the health ministry in Culiacan. LM1's son, Torres, 21 years old, was killed by sicarios working with the Bello. Torres fought back but tragically lost his life in a brutal shooting. This event triggered LM1's descent into madness, leading him to do a bloodbath. He ordered his men to gather Bello members and subjected them to sinister torture before killing them. One of his victims was the municipal police commander, Roberto Carlos Villagran. In a gruesome act, LM1 requested his back to be mercilessly sliced into small chunks of meat with knives. His legs were brutally severed, and then he was decapitated. His lifeless body was callously discarded along with 2 other bodies in the trunk of a car, while his accomplices scattered the remaining body parts all around Culiacan. The Mexican government sent 2,000 soldiers to stop the violence, resulting in LM1's capture and death on October 13, 2012. Yet he's not the only one who fought against the dangerous cartel. Miriam Rodriguez was ready to set the world on fire for her daughter. The life-changing incident occurred in Miriam Rodriguez's life on January 23, 2014, when her daughter Karen was abducted and killed by Los Zetas. The nightmare unfolded as armed men in 2 trucks abducted Karen Rodriguez while driving through San Fernando. Miriam and her family faced threats, calls, and false hopes, obediently following instructions in hopes of returning Karen back safe. Left with no choice, Miriam bravely arranged a meeting with the cartel. Despite one member denying knowledge of Karen's location, he offered assistance for a price. Karen's father left a bag of cash at the location. The wait for his daughter was endless, but she did not return. Miriam's attempts to save her daughter were unsuccessful, but she identified the man she encountered. His name was Sama. Miriam, desperate and realizing Karen was likely dead, vowed to find those responsible and began piecing together the puzzle. She identified an acquaintance through their ice cream shop uniform and followed them home. To get closer, she cut and dyed her hair red. Miriam's relentless pursuit of justice resulted in the capture of 10 cartel members involved in her daughter's kidnapping, despite the risk involved. Tragically, Miriam's determination led to a dangerous encounter with Karen's kidnappers on Mother's Day 2017, despite her request for police protection. The 57-year-old woman, using crutches due to a recent foot injury from chasing a suspect, was attacked by escaped inmates in a white Nissan outside her home. They shot at her multiple times before fleeing, sparking outrage and a manhunt. Despite the brutal attack, she bravely clutched her purse with a pistol inside. Her determination to fight for justice, even risking her own life, set her apart. She was murdered on Mother's Day for her daughter, but Don Alijo also didn't back down when Los Zetas threatened to try to kill him. On November 13, 2010, Don Alijo, a 77-year-old man, faced an ultimatum from Los Zetas to vacate his ranch within 24 hours or risk death. Don Alijo refused to back down, ready to risk his life to protect his pride and joy, showing that he was not one to surrender without a fight. When the cartel arrived expecting an easy victory, they were met with fierce resistance as Don Alijo and his men fought back, surprising the armed intruders with their determination and firepower. The attackers faced an unexpected challenge as they struggled to anticipate the source of the relentless gunfire. Despite the cartel's attempts to throw grenades, the shots continued to rain down from within the property, causing their men to fall one by one. Realizing their rapid decline, the cartel members realized they were being decimated. Aware that the authorities would be alerted by the intense firefight, the gunmen decided to retreat, leaving 6 of their comrades behind. Their intuition proved correct, as the Mexican Marines arrived shortly after their departure. The scene that greeted them was horrifying, with the property strewn with countless shell casings and the air thick with the scent of gunpowder. Outside, they discovered 4 lifeless bodies, while the remaining 2 were unconscious. As the Marines entered the house, they were left speechless by the sight of Don Alijo, a 77-year-old man who had single-handedly taken down 6 gunmen. Don Alijo's bravery and unwavering determination earned him the status of a cultural hero, celebrated for his courageous stand against those who sought to unleash chaos and destruction upon the world. A Mexican farmer, Hipólito Shivers, took matters into his own hands when cartel activity in La Runia was escalating day by day. He formed a vigilante self-defense group to confront the infamous Knights Templar cartel, which had been wreaking havoc in the region. This cartel was involved in abductions, threats, and taking over the lime industry that local farmers relied on. However, what pushed Shivers over the edge was when the cartel prohibited his son from picking lemons on their own farm. Determined to make a difference, Shivers waged a relentless war against the cartel, even without external support. Eventually, he and his group of vigilantes successfully expelled the cartel. While many fighters moved on to other parts of Mexico to continue their fight against cartels, Shivers chose to stay in his hometown, tending to his lime groves. A climactic moment occurred in 2014, which led to a shift in Hipólito's perspective. Hipólito felt compelled to take charge amidst the arrest of key leaders and power struggles within self-defense groups, particularly with the emergence of El Americano as a rival. On December 16, 2014, a fierce gun battle between 2 vigilante groups ended in tragedy, claiming the lives of 11 individuals. On June 29, 2023, Shivers was tragically killed in a violent armed attack while traveling in an armored truck that was later set on fire. But who was Shivers' murderer? The main suspect behind his murder was Nicolas Santana, also known as El Gordo, who had a history of switching sides and forming his own drug cartel called Los Viegras after leaving the auto defense group. Shivers had expressed concerns about being targeted by Los Viegras, as he had disclosed the location of drug laboratories to the Minister of Interior. El Gordo's betrayal of the auto defense resulted in him becoming a part of the very entity they were originally fighting against. Guadalupe Moore, the sister of the victim, insists that no soldiers or patrols were present during the attack. According to her, there was not a single soldier or patrol in sight when the attack occurred, as El Gordo was known for manipulating the police to carry out his criminal activities. Before we get into our last clip, be sure to subscribe if you are enjoying the video and want to see more like this one. On February 7, 1985, armed men kidnapped DEA agent Kiki Camarena outside the U.S. consulate in Guadalajara, Mexico. The men were associated with the powerful cartel, which was involved in smuggling drugs across Mexico into the U.S. During the 1980s, the Guadalajara cartel was at the height of its power, with unparalleled size and influence in Mexico. The key figures behind this vast criminal organization were Miguel Gallardo, Rafael Quintaro, and Ernesto Carrillo. The DEA was well aware that the cartel was behind the smuggling of massive amounts of marijuana across the Mexico border into the U.S. Camarena was determined to take down the cartel regardless of the ramifications. On November 14, 1984, the Mexican Army, in collaboration with the DEA, executed a massive operation to destroy the thriving marijuana operation known as Rancho Buffalo, which was generating billions of dollars in revenue for the cartel. This raid resulted in the complete eradication of 5,000 metric tons of marijuana, valued at $2.5 billion, making it the largest drug seizure in DEA history. On February 7, 1985, Kiki left the U.S. consulate, anticipating a lunch date with his wife. Little did he know a group of armed men were waiting for him and forcibly taking him to a house where he was tortured for 2 days. The men repeatedly stepped on his back and chest while also calling in a physician to administer drugs that would ensure he remained awake throughout the torture, ultimately succumbing to his injuries and being buried nearby. While Gato Quintaro was pleased with the agent's demise, his partners understood that killing an agent would provoke the wrath of the U.S. government. Agent Camarino's body was found a month later outside Guadalajara under suspicious circumstances. Evidence was gathered, arrests were made, and the investigation led to the apprehension of Felix, Caro, and Ernesto, the founders of the cartel. Quintero was caught in Costa Rica and extradited to Mexico, while Carrillo was captured 3 days later in Alberto Villa. Gallardo was eventually arrested as well, and all three were charged with kidnapping and murder, receiving a 40-year prison sentence. I know these tales of defiance and justice ran shivers down your spine. Cartels mess with the wrong people, but there's another video on our channel even scarier than this. Be careful while watching it.